I don't know why I be getting nervous before talking in front of a camera. All right. Yo, what's going on? It is me, Tyrus Duncan. I'm here with another episode of Ty Talks, where we like to unravel some of life's most daunting ideas. Today, I have a great friend of mine. He goes by the name of Jahsan, right? He's a young entrepreneur. He has a clothing brand. He's a speaker. He's a teacher. He's a mentor. I'll let him talk more about himself, but he's just a great person to be around. Highly inspirational, highly motivational. I see a lot of myself in him. Jahsan.
See, trying to make a brother cry.
I ain't trying to make you cry. Thanks for joining me today, brother.
Thank you for having me, bro.
How you doing?
I'm doing, like we said it when we walked through the door, life. I'm doing life, just trying to figure it out.
Ain't that what we all doing? Just trying to figure it out?
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like we all trying to figure it out, but my thing is, will we ever figure it out?
Now, I was reading Ecclesiastes today.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
The book of Ecclesiastes is literally I feel like it is the biblical embodiment of myself. I said, I'm just about to start calling myself Solomon because this is exactly how I feel. And he was just breaking down, going through life and learning like everything is vanity. And if you know about Solomon, he was a king and he didn't ask for riches or anything. He asked for wisdom. So God gave him wisdom, and with wisdom, everything else was attached to it. Yeah. So he got wisdom, and he got everything else that was attached to wisdom. And he just went down. I didn't turn my eyes away from anything that I saw. Everything that I wanted, I went to go get. I had more stuff in the field than everybody else. Basically, he had everything that he ever wanted, just to find out that it was vanity. He called it vanity, and one translation said vexation of the spirit. Another translation said it's like chasing the wind. Another translation said it's like trying to grasp the wind. I read in like 4 different translations, the whole book. So I'm like, dang, this stuff is deep. But just that being said, it's like, will we ever figure it out? Who knows? And really, it's about that chase. But even then, like, vanity and the vexation. And the part, it was in the first chapter of Ecclesiastes, the part that always gets me. And I know if you talked to me before, you know what I'm about to say. But he said, with increased knowledge is increased sorrow. And with much wisdom comes much grief. So it's like, the more you know, the more you have an opportunity to feel both good and bad.
It's a coin.
So it's like you get exposed to the realities of life, and it's not all good.
It's yin and yang.
But it's also not all bad.
It's not.
It's not also bad.
I think that's the power in it, though, that the more you know, the more you learn, you find out that it's good and the bad. Because, I mean, that's also comes with Adam and Eve eating the apple. And, I mean, everybody might look at life like, dang, we get free will because Adam and Eve ate the apple. Free will ain't what you think.
It's not. Freedom is not all the freedom that you think it is. Independence doesn't really bring the freedom that you think it brings. Life is something else, man. I think I'm about to just change this podcast. I'm going to call it to Life is Something Else.
Boy, that is.
Because life is something else. But yeah, let the people know a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
I'm a leader, a servant of life, an artist of life. Like you said, I have a clothing brand, a podcast. Podcast Desires Everything podcast. Clothing brand Die Fam, which stands for Desires Everything Family. Mentor. Just somebody, like he says, trying to figure out life, an artist of life. It's a constant battle, a constant fight. Sometimes not even a fight, just a journey every day, son.
How old are you?
20.
20. What would you say you have figured out thus far in your 20 years of life?
What I figured out? I don't know enough. And everything that has occurred in my life is probably my fault. Because somehow, some way, I have to take accountability for something. It might not be the worst thing that happened, but somewhere leading up into it, I definitely had something to do with it.
You said something interesting there. Everything is your fault. You believe that?
Yeah. Everything in my life. Now, I wouldn't say like somebody went out here and robbed the store. That ain't my fault because that ain't nothing to do with me. But I genuinely believe everything that has happened in my life, you genuinely is. I wouldn't necessarily say my fault, but like I definitely have a part to play in it. Absolutely. So there's a consequence on that.
Yeah, because we are a product of the decisions that we make.
Most definitely.
And I think learning that we're a product of the decisions that we make, once we know that, it's up to us to make the correct decisions.
Exactly. So
it's like who you see today is a product of the decisions that you make on the daily basis.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay attention to the decisions that you make on a daily basis, doesn't mean that you're not making decisions. You're just going to become a byproduct of something you may not want to be, which is why it's important to be intentional with the decisions that we make. And also to know what it is that we want. You know, I speak about that all the time. Like we got to know what it is that we want so that we could sit down and make the decisions necessary to get what it is that we want.
Literally.
Now, I'm not saying that that's going to make you happy in the end or whatever. It's not going to, the outcomes that you are hoping for may not be in the cards. Time and chance has a lot to do with life. Facts. I think that luck has a lot to do with luck. And I had to learn how to accept that. Because growing up in the church and everything, it's like, luck, what is luck? You can't talk about luck. But I'm growing up, and I'm like, listen, what are the odds LeBron James got to be born 6'9" and 280 pounds? It made it far easier for him to make it to the league than me. Now, I'm not saying that hard work doesn't need to be attached to it, but
something had to go into
it. There has to be a little bit of luck. But to your point, once you become aware, then the decisions that you make have a lot to do with the outcomes that you get. Yeah. And I think that also adds to the point of what Solomon was talking about. With much wisdom is much grief. And with increased knowledge comes increased sorrow. Because it's one thing to know that something must be done. It's another thing to know what it is that needs to be done and that you have to do it. Like the fact that nobody's coming to save you, that will keep me up.
It hurt every time I think about it.
Yeah, and it's like if I want something, it's up to me.
Ain't nobody finna put in this work for me, man.
Not even God himself.
Yeah,
is coming to save you. So the power is in your hands, and you got to make the decision today. And the Bible it says that a lot throughout the scriptures. Like, you choose who are you going to follow. Choose this day who you going to follow. And it's like, dang, what do you mean I have to choose who I'm going to follow? Or it says, save yourself from this untoward generation. And we like to look at God as, I think a lot of people have an unhealthy relationship with God. Not going to lie. Dang, that's something I want to get into today. Is that something we want to get into? Is that something we want to get into?
I mean, yeah, we can. Me personally, I know that's something I'm, going back and forth with right now.
Let's get into it.
Because obviously you have to be intentional with your relationship with God. And I'm working on that. But the flesh be calling, bro. And that's a mug that don't back down. And the older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing everything is mental. But at a young age, when you kind of, you don't understand that, and it's almost like you give your mental away to that dopamine, to whatever it is. Now as you get older, it's like a constant battle trying to get it back. But then you got to turn around and look at that 10-year-old, 11-year-old, like, bro, I'm trying to save you, like. But it's hard.
It is hard. Very, very hard.
And at a point in time, that gets in the way of that relationship with God. Mm-hmm. And it's like the saying, God knows my heart. But you can't use that forever.
It's like, God knows my heart, but do you?
Exactly.
Because you can think that you're on the path to heaven and you're on the path to
hell, and you don't even know it. And that's like a constant thing every day. I have to ask myself, like, if God was to say you're done now, where do you think you're going? And it's like, bro, I can't even answer that.
Tough.
Here I am trying to impact people, change the world.
I mean, that goes to it though, because I've struggled with that thought a lot, with the thought of how am I supposed to impact others if my life isn't even perfect? If I'm not where I want to be, am I being a fraud? And I've been called a fraud before. It's like you always want to advise somebody on how they need to live their life, but look at you ain't got it all figured out. And in my head, it's like I'm sharing with you while I'm on the journey what I think may help. I might not know 100% this is going to work, but I'm sharing with you while I'm on this journey that I think this may help. And maybe it doesn't, maybe it does. But I'm going to share while I'm on this journey. And I think that's one of my superpowers, is the ability to be vulnerable and to let people know I ain't got it all together. Don't you ever for a second look at me and think, man, this brother Tyre's got to figure it out. I am figuring it out. There's a difference there.
I'm still in action.
Yeah, and I don't want people to look at me as a God complex, a perfect person. And that's the stories I love in the Bible so much. Like the story of David, where he was not by any means perfect.
Nowhere near.
And he had his flaws and he had his mistakes, he had his mishaps, and they call him a man after God's own heart. So I'm like, even while being a man after God's own heart doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. Because if you are perfect, you would be God. There's only one man who is called perfect in the Bible, and he was literally God in the flesh. So it's like, yeah, Tyrus ain't God. You can forget about it. I'm not. I know that I am a man after God's own heart. And David, he had this prayer after he went through his things. I think this was after he slept with Bathsheba. Mm-hmm. You know Bathsheba. Yeah. He sent his high warrior off to get him killed just sleep with his wife.
Got crucified in today's day.
Man. But he prayed this prayer after that. Lord, don't take away your spirit from me. Like, I know I messed up. I know I'm not perfect. I know I've done wrong, but please don't take away your spirit. And that's not to say that you won't do wrong again. But it's like, Lord, I'm a man after your own heart. Please don't take away your spirit. And I think that Christians, I don't even like to categorize because it's such a weird idea, but the people who claim to be followers of Christ, not all of them, but some of them have done a disservice to those who mess up. Yeah. You messed up. Shame.
Like you perfect.
You messed up. Look at you. And it brings me to when they brought the woman who was sleeping with with the different men in their houses, and they brought her to Jesus and said, Jesus, this woman is out here running the streets, as we call it in today's term. This woman out here running the streets, you need to stone her. And Jesus looked at all of them. I can see now in my mind, looking at all of them, telling himself every story he know about all of them in his mind. That man over there, yep, you a liar. That man over there, he's stealing. You cheat on your wife with her, and you want to get her stoned, so you try to protect yourself. I can see him going down the line. And then he said, whichever one of you who has no sin in your life, you go ahead, pick up the stone and throw it. He without sin cast the first stone. And he went down, wrote something in the sand, they said. He looked back up, someone went away. Y'all still here? He without sin cast the first stone. Looked down again, wrote some stuff down the line. Looked up, they all went away except for the woman. Because they all knew they had to come to terms with themselves. It's like, which one of y'all ain't got no sin and not let y'all throw the stone? And no one could throw the stone because everybody has some sin. And I think the disservice that we done is, one, not giving each other grace and mercy and understanding that life is hard. You know what I mean? Like, and as we're humans on this journey, we're bound to mess up. Yeah. And it's easier to recover from a mess up if you have somebody to say, that's okay. You don't have to do this again. Like he told the woman, go home with your husband. I have no husband. Yeah, I know. And the man that you with right now is not your husband either. She went away. After that, he said, go and sin no more. So it's like, yes, sin is, we're born into flesh. Like you were talking, that battle between the flesh and the spirit, essentially, born into flesh, but having to try to chase after the spirit It's not to mean that we won't trip up in the flesh, but we should never try to go that way. You know what I mean? And it's bound to happen. The Bible also said any man who claims to have no sin is a liar. So any of y'all out here talking about, I ain't got no sins. I ain't sin. I don't sin. So the Bible called you a liar right there. And I think the reality is for us to pray constantly and to always seek forgiveness for the things that we done wrong, plus the things that we don't know that we done wrong.
That's the hard part about it, because when you do wrong, and especially if it's something like you constantly doing, it has to like stop. And you do it, and then you convict yourself. But at a point in time, it's almost hard to forgive yourself.
Yeah, but you got to. You have to. The grace that we give to other people has to be as strong in our own lives. Because how dare we think that we can give other people grace and mercy for messing up, but we don't give it to ourselves when we also deserve it. Like the grace and mercy of God is free for us to accept if we admit our wrongdoings. And that's a hard concept for some of us to accept. Because it's like, how could you still love me though I've done this wrong? Which, you know how it is. If you are in love, or if you do love, we'll let things slide off of love. Now, the same way that Jesus told the woman, go and sin no more, our hope after we let things slide through them repenting, which is coming to terms with your sins and saying, hey, this is what I did wrong. I'm not going to do it again. Or to repent is to turn away. So like someone comes to you and they basically repent. If the love is strong enough, you forgive them. It's like, I did this wrong to you and I'm sorry. Now, if you have a kind heart, or if you have a strong enough presence of the Holy Spirit with them, because sometimes you did what? I mean, like you did what? Yeah, I did this. But God has worked on me to make me patient enough and forgiving enough, because I'm not perfect.
Facts.
And it actually said, if a man forgives you, or if a man does you wrong 7, forgive him 7 times 7. It's a lot of forgiveness.
Man.
But the forgiveness of ourselves is constant, because we've only been with ourselves forever. So it's like, it's not only the third time we done ourselves wrong. Like you did something you know you shouldn't have done, and now you feel bad about it. The reality is, that's okay. Go and sin no more. And even if you trip as you go and try to sin no more, we must learn to give ourselves grace continually.
Sure.
How would we expect God to forgive us if we don't forgive ourselves? Like they go hand in hand. Like we must forgive ourselves. We have to. I think it may be hard for a lot of us to forgive ourselves because a lot of people don't love themselves truly.
You think that's it? I don't know. Because to me, like I'm saying, like for me, when, I struggle with it, and I love myself to death, I would like to think I love myself. Like, I'm not down on myself, I think, I wouldn't say I'm doing everything perfect, because it's no. But I struggle with forgiving myself because I know right from wrong. And it's like, but you constantly choosing wrong, but you want to live right. And you have lived right, but in order to keep reaping the benefits or reap the fruits of living right, you got to keep doing right. But then, my thing is sometimes I feel like, all right, I took 10 steps ahead, and then 2 steps back. Or I took 2 steps back and 1 step ahead. And then it's a never-ending cycle, but it's like, why? Like, that's why it's hard for me to forgive myself. And I think that's in the space that I'm starting to get in. It's like, bro, you constantly doing it. Like, what is the problem? And, sometimes you try to go to the root of it, but it's kind of hard. It's almost like I said, at that young age, that dopamine. And you spend years trying to defeat it, but you just And now you get to the age where it's a root and you're trying to find the root. But the longer you try to find that root, it's harder to forgive yourself each and every time because you feel like God is starting to strike you down. Regardless if it shows in action or not. But you know, it could be any time that he call you.
But is he striking you down?
I don't know.
Not yet.
Exactly. But my thing is, I don't want that time to come to when if I do wrong, and because I know I've done wrong consistently and I haven't stopped, and I feel like, all right, now he just fed over me. Like you said, he strike you down. Just because that last moment when he didn't forgave me for 998 times, because I did it 999, he's done with me.
Rap.
And it's like, dude, if I just would have held on and not did wrong, then I'd have been straight. But I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I would be like, dang, bro, he really, you feel me? So that's why I feel like it's so hard for me to forgive myself, because I don't know if this could be the last time.
I get what you're saying. And it may.
Exactly.
It may. And truthfully, the question is, can you change what has happened?
No.
Do you have control over what's going to happen?
Potentially. Well, yeah. I mean, if it's my life and I'm the one that's sinning, yeah, I have control over it.
To an extent. To the major extent.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, for me, like I said, it's all mental.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I'm in control of my mental and I don't let the flesh take over, and my thing is I don't even blame the devil no more, because it's like he's not, like, obviously the devil has some influence on the sin, but it's like at a point in time, bro, he's not the problem. And I feel like that's where a lot of people use as an escape or as, you know, as an excuse, like, oh, the devil got me or my flesh. Like, bro, that at the end of the day, it's you. Like, it's your life. And I'm believe, like, if you truly want to change, you'll change. But it comes with that mental. And are you willing to change your mental and take control over your flesh? Mm-hmm. And I'm not finna sit here and blame the devil. Like, no. Yeah. It's the same way the devil can, you know, put this sin in your life or taunt you with sin, the same way he can bless you.
The devil, man, if you give him the power, that brother is a powerful brother.
Exactly. So that's why I'm not even finna allow that. But I got to take some accountability at some point in time and be like, all right, bro.
Essentially, that's what it comes down to. Taking accountability and accepting that the power is in us, but also understanding that we are not our mistakes.
For sure not.
And I think that that's something that you got to remind yourself constantly as we go through life and we mess up. It's like, thank God that yesterday does not define who I'm able to be today if I learn from it. And I think some of us will beat ourselves up so much to the point to where we know we're doing wrong. It's like, well, who cares? I'm doing wrong now. Might as well keep going. Or try to enter on the waters of just doing enough.
Yeah.
I didn't really lie. Yeah. It's like, I changed the truth just a little bit. I didn't really lie.
That, then you already sinned, because now you're trying to convince yourself you didn't, but you know you did.
Jesus said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So you sitting here thinking, let me restart these cameras. Go and sin no more. It's a strong idea. Because to your point, we do know what we know what we doing wrong most of the time. But it feel good. But it protected me. I'm not gonna get hurt because of this. But I wanted that, so I did this. So I go and sin no more. It's tough. I'm not gonna lie, man. This battle of the flesh and of the spirit and of chasing things. And my dad growing up always used to say, just because it feel good don't mean that it is good. And in the moment, we do a lot of things, like eating some food that we know ain't good for us.
That grease hit.
It be hitting. The sugar, and it just be, you walk into somebody's kitchen and they just made something that smell super good, got your skin feeling all good, your nose is like mouth drooling, all of that. You're like, man, I'm about to.
4 hours later when that toilet hit.
or 50 years later you got diabetes or something.
Exactly.
In the moment, things could feel great, amazing, but the overall outcome of the decisions made, that's where we have to be cautious over. But yeah, we got a lot of power in our hands, man.
No, for sure. That's the rough thing about being human.
Is it the rough thing or is it the great thing?
It's the yin and the yang. I mean, it's good and it's bad. I mean, because some people allow that power to take over, and it's almost like they can't control themselves. Look at the dictators. Look at the world leaders who's supposed to be doing what's good for us, but ain't really doing what's good. All that, and I mean, that might be physical power, like, oh, yeah, I'm top of the world. I got some people who going to ride for me, who going to listen to me. I mean, at the end of the day, that it starts out as a thought. And whatever you think, you can create.
Spider-Man said, with great power comes great responsibility. And they do, because a power in the wrong direction, they say a fire in the forest is a terrible thing, but a fire in a controlled environment is a great thing. And both of them are very powerful things. So if you got a lot of power and it's geared in the wrong direction, it could be like a forest fire. If you got a lot of power and it's geared in the right direction, it could be like keeping your house warm. So it's like you decide where to put the power. And sometimes the other side be calling. The other side of choice, I'll just make this bad decision. It ain't that deep. You should not surely die. That what Satan told Eve before eating the fruit. You should not surely die. Yeah, he forgot to add right now. And that's what it is. It's like those decisions that we make that don't kill us right now. Yeah. You should not surely die. Essentially, we eating from that tree every day with decisions that we make.
I didn't even think about that.
So it's like, you should not surely die, as he told Eve. Don't worry about it. Just
you feel like you
want the power. You want to feel like God. You want to feel good.
You want to see what he see.
You want to see what he. Would you like to see what he sees? Would you like to open your eyes? Go ahead, eat this fruit. But they didn't even question him.
They didn't.
They said, but God said we's gonna die. God said we shouldn't eat from this tree.
But how many times have we done that? Not question it.
No comment.
Exactly. I mean, like you said,
it's an everyday decision.
Yeah, we really already eating from the tree every day.
Yeah. It's like, we continue to eat from that tree? Because we should not surely die. Like I said, the fine print that was forgotten, that was left off the end of that sentence was right now. Yeah. But eventually.
But over time, you keep doing it, you feel like you're dying inside.
You're going to feel the consequences. You reap what you sow. If you sow dirty seeds, you don't get dirty fruit. Don't let that go over your head.
Look at Cain. I mean, his whole bloodline was cursed after what he did.
Yeah, you have to. Man, I don't think we understand the power of the decisions that we make.
And I think, I mean, obviously just from context of the Bible, God is lighter on us than he was in the Bible. Not even probably. I think wholeheartedly is, because the way they was talking, he was saying sin is the weight, like death is the wages of sin, before Jesus came. Like,
and essentially, I mean, it's still the same.
It still is, but
just postponed a little bit. We're in the grace period now. Yeah. So with being in the grace period, it's like, I give y'all an opportunity to mess up and everything. Yeah. Just make sure y'all get it together before I come back.
Man.
And we still be out here playing. But that's to the point where I said, I don't know how many of us have a stronger, healthy relationship with God. I know mine has been lacking for a while now. But mine's more so, I feel like Habakkuk. How long shall you hear the voices of me crying and you don't listen? Or David, Psalms 22, man, got to me before. It's like, how long shall I cry, you hear me not? Sometimes that's what it feels like. It's like I can be in these low times 1,000. These low places. And I can feel myself crying out to God or literally crying. I've been in on my knees or in my bedroom floor just crying out to God like, dude, help me.
Help me, please.
Help me. I don't know if you saw that video.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
Dave Chappelle. But no, it's real. I've been in that place like,
just begging.
Help me. I am tired.
But that's the hard thing. Cause it's like you beg and you plead. And that's where I feel like I'm at in my life. Like, I see people call out to God, and I see people, get the Holy Spirit or just cry in church, or you feel me, and just do these different things. And I'm sitting there, wondering like,
why don't I feel it?
Why don't I feel it? And it hurts. But I still have faith, and I still know like, all right, I still got a purpose. I'm still here for a reason. You put me on this earth for a reason, and whatever the case may be. But it's like, man, like I want to hear you. Like I want to feel you. Like I need something. And like you said, you just be in your bed or you be on your floor just crying out for him. And there's been nights where like, bro, like where you at, man? Like help me. I need you. There's been times where I'm driving, listening to gospel music just to get the spirit.
I'll be driving listening to nothing.
And
just
that
me,
too, like
just me and God will be. And I'll be in that car. I'll turn up all the music. Listen, God, I'm tired. I keep fighting. I keep praying. I keep asking. Yeah, I don't feel. I don't hear. But my faith is still there. And sometimes to be completely vulnerable and completely honest, part of me be like, why? Like, why should I even keep on trying? The other part of me be like, because to the point of death. And to be completely vulnerable and completely honest, one of the biggest reasons why I believe in God, and I know this is such a touchy subject to people, but that's the point of Tie Talks anyways. Yeah. Life's most daunting ideas. Yeah. One of the biggest reasons why I believe in God, I remember growing up in church my whole life, 3 to 4 services a week. That do something to you, for one. For two, my granddad, he's a pastor, and he used to quote, he said, he heard someone quote this before, and it was said to be, let me say this in the right way. He said, I'd rather die and find out that there is no God, than to die and find out that there is.
It's crazy. I ain't never heard that, but that's genuinely how I live. Like I have friends, and I wouldn't even say they atheists, but they just have been in a space where they've tried to, go to church, and for one, either the service wasn't good, or they just, like you said earlier, they don't like how Christians move, so it makes them step away. But me being me, I'm not finna judge you. Like, that's your relationship. Mm-hmm. I can't judge you. I still love you to death. And it be people like I said, they be the realest friends I be having, the realest people I know. But we had these conversations, and it'd be like, bro, just be completely honest with you. I'd rather live, or I'd rather, like you said, die knowing that there was a God.
Or but at least not even really knowing, but believing.
Yeah, believing.
When we say have faith, and people, when I say faith is not knowing or believing. The Bible itself said faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I hope for a God that I have not seen to actually be who he said he is, or who we are told that he is. So I can be honest, I don't really be feeling much. And when I do go to church, every time I go to church, there are tears. And it's not tears of sadness, but it's tears of longing. Like, touch me.
And like I get, like, during sometimes worshiping, I feel I feel something in me. Like, yeah, I think my,
I feel that same. I feel the same thing.
Warmth or something, like, ooh.
I listen to Jasmine Sullivan do a run or something. I feel that same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that God, or is that what we tell ourselves to add meaning to something? Because there's one thing that we don't like, and It's not having meaning to something. And Cat Williams was just on Joe Rogan's podcast like last week or 2 weeks ago. And one of the things he said the fact that the conversation of God is one of the biggest conversations in the world has to mean something. So it's like, I'd be like, man, if God ain't real, whoever wrote the Bible is God.
Something. That's where I'm at, bro. Because I just don't believe humans got here
just
themselves.
like,
yeah, you can't.
Like, and it has to be something, right?
Yeah, the Big Bang Theory, it's like, nah, I ain't. Or however it was, that the evolution from us becoming monkeys or being monkeys and growing and adapting, it don't add up to me.
Even to that point, I just think that we're too in depth. So it's like, you think of everything on earth. If you think about this microphone, it had to have a creator that created it to do what it is supposed to do.
Right.
If you think about a car or a camera, they all had to be created by a creator to do the things that they're supposed to do. So it's like, me thinking about how powerful I am, I know that I had to have something that created me to do what I'm supposed to do.
Literally.
So that adds to my belief even beyond the questions of why. It's like, I know that something made Tyrus. Now, what did it make Tyrus to do? We figuring it out every day. We figuring it out. But I know that I was made. And I know that I was made with a purpose, because nothing gets made without a purpose. Even the things that are used for no good. Dang, that's a powerful thing to actually think about.
I think it's still playing in somebody's life.
Yeah, I mean, that's life. That's the beauty thing about humans, been on the journey and developing into who we are. Guess you could call it meant to be. If you choose to fulfill the calling of the purpose that you're supposed to fulfill.
And if you don't, whether you do or you don't, it's still gonna have an effect on somebody.
Absolutely.
It's like my favorite analogy of it is the dad and the drunk dad or alcoholic dad and the two sons.
Mm-hmm.
One son, changed his life, and swear up and down he wasn't gonna be an alcoholic because he saw his father do it.
Mm-hmm.
Another son was an alcoholic because he saw his father.
Yeah, they both said, like, the one who changed his life, it's like, how did you manage to do this and not fall into this path? It's all because my father was an alcoholic. The other one was like, became alcoholic. And they said, how did you manage to do this? Because my father was an alcoholic. And it's crazy because we don't know how much our decisions actually affect those around us, but they do. They do. And we don't think about it often, but every little thing, to the point of everything being created with a purpose, whether it's for a big purpose, a small purpose, or whatever. Can you think of something that was created with no purpose?
No.
I mean, down to this little clip on this microphone here.
Still supposed to be doing something.
Dang, I don't even think I ever had that realization. Literally nothing was created without a purpose. Even the dirt that we got outside that helped grow the trees.
That probably got the biggest purpose.
It has a huge purpose.
Because, at the end of the day, in the Bible says we was made out of dirt.
That is.
So if everything essentially came from dirt, because like you said earlier, who created these microphones? They had to come from a human.
That's something. So it's like, when you're in those moments and you think that you have no purpose, I want you to sit down and actually think of the things in your life that have no purpose. And I guarantee you can't find nothing. So it's like, to even think that you have no purpose is a disservice to reality itself.
Right.
Because everything that is real has a purpose. Now, if it's for you or if it's not for you, that's for whoever to decide. Maybe it doesn't have a purpose for you. For somebody who's not a speaker like you and I, they don't need microphones. No. But for somebody like you and I who speak, we need microphones. So it's like, why is it important for you to walk in the purpose that you're supposed to walk in? Not really for yourself, but for somebody else who needs to use you. I don't use microphones. They ain't for you. I'm not a speaker. The microphone ain't for you. I don't like to take photos. The camera's not for you. I don't like to drive cars. The car's not for you. But I guarantee that somebody that can find a purpose in whatever it is that we have on this earth.
Facts.
Because there's a lot of stuff on this earth.
Too much.
And it's a lot of stuff that have no purpose to you or I, but they still got purpose to somebody.
Somebody.
So it's like, when you're in that moment and you think that you have no purpose, I want you to sit and think of something that has no purpose for nobody. And I guarantee you can't find nothing. That's deep.
Dang.
I don't even think I ever thought of that.
And I mean, at times I think about everything has to play into something. Like, I know my pop says, our obedience is tied to somebody else's destiny. And so, like, with that, it's like, okay, everything has a purpose or a reason for being here.
And you can think that it is minuscule. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Like me, working at a warehouse and seeing how everything flows. Like, we have all these different departments. You got shipping, you got receiving, you got everything in between, picking, packing, all of that to get this one thing out. So if I was to break down the department that I run, it's like we have what's called decant. Boxes come down the line from receiving, which is before then. Someone at decant has to open up the boxes, scan the item, put the items in the box, then it goes on another line, and it goes away. I'll stop there. There's 3 different things right there that everybody had to be in their purpose to do to make sure one item got on the line.
But if one of those items was skipped, then
if one process was skipped, the next person would not be able to fulfill the purpose that they could fulfill.
And then it trickles down to who missed their step.
Yes, and none of them is more important than the other because all are necessary to get the end goal or to get the end idea out.
So that just gave me a thought. So with the way people's lives are going nowadays, people's mental health, suicide rates, whatever the case the world is going. Although I said earlier, everything that has happened to me or, my decisions strongly or, I get consequences off my decisions. What about the fact that if somebody is mentally not there or their life is just going wrong and they blame it on their mother, well, then who do their mother blame it on?
Oh, yeah, it's always somebody to point the blame on. But it's until you make the decision to say, y'all not about to son me no more.
Okay, well, what did I do wrong now on this line?
There's a lot of luck involved in it, which is why it's important for the people who know have a moral duty to point it out to everybody else who doesn't know. That's why I always repeat that phrase, you are so much more capable of being so much more. Because how many people have not heard that and need to hear it so they can become who they need to be for somebody else to break the curses that they are currently experiencing. So it's up to the ones who can see. It's up to the ones who have the knowledge and the wisdom to understand that the decisions that you make not only affect you, but they affect everybody else. It's up to those who understand that to point it out to everybody else who doesn't understand that. Like, my job as a supervisor is to make sure that the person in the receiving is doing his job, so the person who is in decant can do their job, so the person who is in put away can do their job, to make sure that everybody is on purpose according to their purpose so we can get the final idea out. And if somebody is off their purpose, we got to get somebody in there to be on their purpose. And some people are not on their purpose because they don't know their purpose. So it's up to the person who knows the purpose of to point out the purpose to that person. So we have like a moral duty. And that's why Solomon said, with much wisdom comes
much grief.
Much grief. Because it's like, now it is that's why supervisors get paid more than everybody else. Because it's like, it's your job to make sure that they do what they need to do. And if they don't do it, it's on you. So like, with you being a person to increase knowledge and to increase wisdom, that's going to come with some grief and that's going to come with some sorrow. Because now it is your moral responsibility to make sure people are doing what they need to do. And if you don't, you're going to feel it. Because you know how things are supposed to be.
That's crazy.
Life is something else, man.
Man. And it got me thinking because it's like, if you literally sit and think about, especially like with the concept of us talking about like God and Christianity and all that. Like you said, the supervisors could be the pastors, the ministry leaders. And then, everyday Christians or people who have a relationship with God can be, the workers, the people who's on the line. But if I wasn't doing my job on the line, I turn around, look at my pastor. Yo, what happened? What happened? Like,
and get this, the job gonna get done regardless. God gonna get his point out regardless. You don't do your job and you work for me, guess what? You getting replaced.
yeah.
Now, I'm a person who has a lot of grace and a lot of patience, and maybe this not the one for you. I'm going to move you over here to see if you can do this. Yeah. But if you can't do none of this, I'm sorry, you're getting replaced. You got to go find your purpose somewhere else. But it is your responsibility. You owe it to somebody to make sure they have all the tools necessary to do the job that is in front of them. That's the job of a shepherd, guiding his sheep. A pastor, guiding his people who are looking to him for direction. And you miss the mark if you don't do that. If you don't leave the 99 to get the one. Jesus broke a parable down about that, and I think it was Matthew, where one sheep left the flock of 100, and he left the 99 just to get the one because it was incomplete without the 100. And it's like, how important is that one? That important that Jesus would leave the 99 to retrieve the one so he can still have a full 100.
Because at the end of the day, somebody's job not getting done.
And if somebody's job is not getting done, that means the outcome is not getting complete as it should. That's how important it is. And a lot of times we'll stop ourselves in our tracks and say, it's not that important. I'm just one person. It doesn't really matter what I do or what I don't do.
It do.
But it does. It matters more than you think that it does. Way more than you think it does.
And I believe that's the importance of having a relationship with God. Because who do you look to when you feel like, all right, well, my job not getting done? Or even finding a job. What is your purpose? And once you ultimately believe what your purpose is, then it's okay, now every day I got to execute. And when you slip and fall, and even me, and I'm talking to myself right now, when you slip and fall, you still at the end of the day got to remember you got a job to do. When you slip and fall, remember that job ain't getting done because you slipping and falling.
And you will slip and fall. And that's okay. Because also the job of the leader is to get those up who slip and fall and say, hey, it's okay. You'll be all right. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
You're okay. You'll be all right. And we need some, I talked about this in the episode with Nona. We need the encouragement of each other so we can be who we need to be, so we could get this outcome. In the end, the outcome is love. That's what we want. That's what we want to spread. That's what we need. That's what we need to survive. It said God is love. We need love. And if we know that we need love, we know we got to hold each other accountable. We got to encourage each other. We got to call each other when someone's down. We got to still be for them when they don't feel like they have the strength to stand up. We got to be that shoulder for somebody to lean on. You know that song, Lean On Me? How it goes sometimes in our life. We all have pain. We all have sorrow. But if you are wise, you know that there is always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong.
I got to hear it, bro. I need a beat.
He said, I got to hear it. Lean on me when we're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Because it won't be long till I'm going to need somebody to lean on. And that's life. Sometimes you are the force that somebody needs to lean on. Other times, somebody else is a force that you need to lean on. So it's like, how important is it for us to fulfill the calling that we know we're supposed to fulfill, or to be on purpose? Very.
That's what pressure, too. And you just got to live up to it, ultimately. I mean, because, like they say, pressure busts diamonds, or pressure busts pipes, or makes diamonds.
That's what they say. I be like, pressure can either make diamonds or it can make dust. You decide.
And just coming with that not quitting mentality, I think that's what life is, sometimes. And I've been feeling this a lot more lately, just going through certain trials within daily life. And it don't even really be hard stuff, but it just be like that mentality of not quitting. Like, I know this has a reason for why I'm here. I'm here for a reason right now. But when it gets hard, what do? Sometimes, bro, I'll be ready to cry.
You can.
But I can't.
Because it's like, then what?
Exactly. Then what? But then I don't know what it is, but I just have a hard time crying, and that's something I'm still trying to figure out my mental right now. Like, why can I cry? But I get that feeling of like,
I know what you're talking about. It's like you feel like you're crying inwardly, but the tears not coming. That don't mean you ain't crying.
Man,
that just means not no outward expression. Cause I be feeling that, and I be like, dog.
And I only do it when stuff get hard, and it's like I'm this close to quitting.
Or even sometimes it feels like rage. Like I want to punch something so bad, and I don't hit nothing, but that don't stop me from feeling like wanting to punch something. Yeah. Cause I know I'm smart enough to know if I punch something,
I'm the one.
What really comes? Yeah, I'm gonna feel it, so I'm not gonna do it. But that doesn't stop me feeling like I want to punch something. Yeah. Deep breaths, man. They do a lot. The power of an intentional breath. The reminder that I always get after I'm done breathing is things aren't that bad outside of this moment.
Yeah.
So sometimes before I go, I be like,
that's what I be thinking about. Man, what am I gonna do when I get out of this? I know I'm gonna get out of this because I know it ain't gonna kill me. Right. So that's all I really need. That's all I think about. I'm like, all right, I'm back in it. Yeah. And it's like, all right, but you still got to figure out how to get out of it. That'd be the hard part.
Ultimately, we just gotta believe in the end that we'll be okay.
Man. Belief and love. I believe that's what we need in life, you know. But I feel like belief is in love. Because this is my personal belief, but in order to believe in somebody or believe in something, you gotta love it in some form or aspect. You know, you don't believe in stuff you don't love.
Very true. Very true. Do you believe in stuff that you hate then?
Yeah. Because for me, belief is more of, okay, I believe you are going to accomplish something. Like, to not get on the topic of politics, but I don't believe in politics because y'all clearly steered a country wrong for, 400 years now?
Long time.
So why would I believe in you? I ultimately don't love you. Now, I love each individual one of you because God says I have to, so I'm going to love you. But you as a politician, I don't love you because I don't believe you're going to solve anything.
Mm-hmm. And the power's in our hands.
Right.
And I love us. That's why I said the power is in us truly to encourage each other, to remind people that tomorrow may be better to today, or tomorrow may be better than today, and not to give up today, because tomorrow is coming. Whether you give up today or not, it's still going to come. So you might as well push through. Yeah. Might as well push through. I feel like this is a fire conversation, man. We always have some great conversations.